Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the groundbreaking for the Thread Trail here in downtown LaGrange. Appreciate you all coming out on this beautiful Monday afternoon. We're very excited about this project, very excited about bringing a new recreational amenity to LaGrange, something that a lot of people, many of you here today, have been working on for some time. And today we will begin construction of the Model Mile, the first segment of the Thread that will actually be put on the ground. And we're excited about doing it here in this I think people still refer to as the kudzu patch, but this former piece of green space that the Callaway Foundation has acquired and has made available to the city for this particular project. There are a lot of people who deserve credit for putting together today's event, but also putting together the entire concept of the Thread Trail. We're excited about this. This is something that other communities, Atlanta and Carrollton and Columbus, and others have been working on through the Path Foundation to put in place a multi-use trail, a trail that can be used by people of all ages, can be used for pedestrians, bicycles, to walk dogs. All kinds of activities can take place on these spaces. This is part of an effort to not only provide recreational amenities, but also to tie together our community. And that's the whole name, hence the whole name for the Thread, because in a nod to our textile heritage, we're attempting to weave together all the neighborhoods throughout LaGrange and to bring people out of their homes, to bring them out into this public trail space, to enjoy nature, to enjoy opportunities for exercise, and it will be a social time as well. So we're very excited about this. We think this is going to be a great new amenity for our community. Obviously, the city of LaGrange has been involved in it, started taking the lead on it. We have with us, I know, Councilman Mark Mitchell, as well as City Manager Meg Kelsey, others from our staff. Appreciate all of the support that the City Council has provided to make this demonstration project for the Model Mile of the Thread. We're doing all of this in conjunction with Troup County, which under the Troup County Board of Parks and Recreation manages our recreational amenities for the three cities as well as the county. Certainly glad to have the support of County Manager Todd Tentler. I believe that Chairman Cruz is en route to us and should be here shortly, but we are delighted to have County Manager Tentler here. The land you're standing on that I referenced earlier is actually owned by the Callaway Foundation. And so we are very fortunate in LaGrange. I could spend the rest of my lifetime up here talking about all the ways that we are fortunate and blessed to have the Callaway Foundation. This is just another demonstration of the Callaway Foundation's commitment to our community. That commitment takes many forms, and one form today is making this land available to the city and the county for recreational purposes, particularly for the construction of the Thread and the Model Mile. So thank you to Spears, President of the Callaway Foundation. I know Ida is here as well, and I think that I'm not sure if any other trustees, Ida Russell's here. I'm not sure I've seen any other trustees, but thank the members of the Callaway Foundation. I spoke to Rotary a couple of weeks ago, and the comment I made was that basically that the community needs to be inspired and engaged to take ownership of our community, and that people need to come together with new ideas and new initiatives and bring them to the attention of the mayor and council. Because as I often say, and I've said in my town hall meetings recently, most good ideas don't start at City Hall. Most good ideas start out in the community. And community members come together around a particular idea, a particularly new initiative, and they bring it to the city or they bring it to the county. And I think that the recent experience has shown when you do that, you find tremendous support, and you find people who are willing and eager to help bring something to fruition. And the Thread is another great example of that, because probably less than 2 years ago, Bob Gehring called me and Patrick Cruz up one day, and I think Todd Tentler was at that meeting as well, called us up and said, let's go have breakfast. And so we met down at Gus's Grill for breakfast one day, and Bob shared that he and some others had been thinking about how could you make LaGrange more accessible for bicycles in particular. But he had also had some recent experiences. He may share with you some detail from visiting other communities where he had been inspired by this. And mine and Patrick's response at the time to him was pretty much the same. We would love to support you in that initiative. It can't be our initiative. We don't have the knowledge. We don't have the background. We don't have the passion. But you clearly do have all of those things. And so we would encourage you to go out and get together a group of like-minded citizens and think through the obstacles, think through the challenges, also think about the opportunities, and come back to us with a little bit more detail. And Bob did exactly what we asked him to do. He went and he put together the Friends of the Thread. Many of you represent the Friends of the Thread organization here today. And over the course of this past 2 years, it has really taken on a life of its own. And it really has become a project that people throughout the community have been able to come together and embrace. We had 300 people or so at the Delevant a year or so ago for a town hall meeting. We have all of you gathered here today. And we have now the opportunity to demonstrate to the community through the Model Mile what the Thread can and will actually look like. And so the real credit for being here today, I think, belongs with the Friends of the Thread. So Bob, you and your group, I appreciate all that you have done to bring this to fruition here in downtown LaGrange. So let's thank the Friends of the Thread. It's another example of how we do things in LaGrange. The way we do things in LaGrange is that we encourage people to fulfill their dreams, to follow their passions, to bring together groups in the community to identify needs, to identify solutions, and to think positively, to think creatively, to think optimistically about what can happen. And so I think this is another model, another demonstration of how LaGrange is an engaged and an inspired community. And it's a great place to live, and it's going to get even better with the addition of the Thread and some of these additional amenities that are going to come along with it. At this time, without a sequencing of introductions, I'm just going to ask Spear Burdette, as president of the Callaway Foundation, to come forward and speak. After he speaks, I'm going to ask Bob Gehring to come forward and speak on behalf of the Friends of the Thread. And then when Bob is done, either Chairman Cruz or Manager Tentler on behalf of the county will come forward, and then finally we will bring forward Paige Estes from the Chamber, because this is a Chamber groundbreaking ceremony. The Friends are a member of the Chamber, and ask Paige to come forward and coordinate our groundbreaking. So at this time, will you welcome Spear Burdette?
I often say that I love to follow Jim at events like this because you really don't need to say anything else. Jim covers it so thoroughly and so eloquently, even introducing out of one of the trustees of the Callaway Foundation. Again, so glad to see all of you here. The foundation, the Callaway Foundation, is truly honored to be a part of this and to be able to make this property available for such a community-wide project as this one is. As Jim said, this is really a partnership of the Callaway Foundation, the City of LaGrange, Troup County, and the Friends of the Thread representing the people of LaGrange. I've not heard one negative thing about this project. This has got so much enthusiasm and positive vibes around it that I'm so excited to see how this comes forward and what it will mean to this community in the years ahead. This Model Mile is at the beginning, obviously, and it will go across the foundation property here and down to Granger Park and around Granger Park and back. Again, I expect to see a lot of use of this. Everyone seems to be excited about it, and then the plans to how this will go and I think it's something like 27 miles. Judy, is that 29 miles that when the full plan is completed. So it'll take a while to do this. We won't build all 29 miles immediately, but it will be a work in process. Again, the foundation is delighted to be a part of it. I commend everyone that's been involved, particularly the Friends of the Thread under Bob's leadership, and Judy and Zach and Scott and many of the, and Rick, many of the group that are here that have met numerous hours in planning this, and certainly Natalie is now the head of the Friends of the Thread as this goes forward. So we've got a good group heading this. We've got a lot of public support, and I see nothing but good positive things to come from this in the future. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Bob Gehring. I'm a manufacturing consultant. I've been a LaGrange resident for 30 years. Moved here with Kimberly Clark when the mill opened, and have been here ever since. And it's a great honor to say that I am the president of the Friends of the Thread Trail, a recently formed 501c3 nonprofit organization, now open and ready to entertain all support from those of you who are so inclined. And all are, I think most, if not all, of our founding board members are here. Spears called several of their names already. I'll make sure I call all of them. Susan Bowie, might raise your hand. Susan? Rick Brock, owner of Golden Spikes. Judy Freeman. Scott Landa, director of Keep Troop Beautiful. Oleg Benga Obasanjo, or Dr. O, director of District 4 Public Health. Zachary Taylor, owner of Expense Reductions Associates. And it's been a great pleasure to work with these folks, and we have seen really tireless effort on everyone's part to get us to this truly groundbreaking day, not only for us but for the history of LaGrange. And as Spear mentioned, I want to recognize one other person. Thanks to a generous gift from the Callaway Foundation, we were able to quickly employ an executive director, without which we volunteers would be hopelessly inadequate. So very pleased to recognize Natalie Hale, raise your hand, who will lead our efforts in the design, construction, and maintenance/management of this process, as well as all of the public support, fundraising, and community relations associated with it. Just a couple comments from my perspective. As Jim mentioned, it hasn't been that long ago that this all came into possibility. It happened on a return trip from France when we were visiting our daughter for the third time, and spent the entire time over there just about on bikes or walking on safe, beautiful trails, not only for exercise, but to get from one place to another. And we discovered the sheer joy of living in a place where you did not have to depend on an automobile. Now, why does that matter in a community today? Obviously, it creates a high quality of life for people so inclined to exercise, to be outdoors, to enjoy the beauty of the world, to socialize with people, to see and meet new people. But in this day and age, I believe Jim said the same kind of thing in his town halls, it's becoming an economic necessity for communities who wish to grow. Yesterday, we had the privilege of attending my youngest grandson's 4th birthday in Inman Park, Atlanta. If you're not familiar with that, Inman Park is a neighborhood, the closest residential neighborhood to downtown Atlanta, just up Edgewood Avenue. And she happens to live 100 yards from the southern terminus of the existing portion of the Atlanta Beltline. And I can tell you, between noon and 3, when we were there and out walking our kids around and they were strolling and riding, there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people heading to and from that stretch of the Beltline. And that's been the case since the day that opened, so much so that there have been well over $2 billion worth of development there. And the place is filling up rapidly with restaurants, gathering places of all sorts, and it has become a vibrant community. When they moved there and bought their house at the bottom, it was in danger of becoming a really blighted area, because already the neighboring communities were blighted. That has all been completely transformed in a short span of time. We are in a good place and in a good community, but we are seeing what's happening in Carrollton and in Columbus, and Noonan is hot on our heels. I've talked to several people from Noonan who say we better move fast because they're going to try to move faster. So this is a quest to create a quality of life that's attractive to people who want to live in an area where they can walk, ride, run, stroll, and live outdoors, including getting to work. And we envision that as a future possibility down the road. Yesterday in Sunday school, I had Julie Patton asked me whether we had thought about some kind of a program to purchase bicycles for people who might be able to use the Thread to get out to the industrial park and enhance their economic future. There's boundless possibilities for what can happen with this project and what it will mean to the future of this community. There's a lot going on here. This will be a vital ingredient in us moving forward, and I am so thankful and blessed to be a part of it. And before I close, turn it over to Patrick, I just want to say that if you are so inclined and you are not yet a friend, you can go to our website, www.thethreadtrail.com, and sign up. And there will also be links that will enable you to go and become a member, which requires a financial contribution of your choosing. And we will need everyone's support as we move forward, both as individuals and families, and as a community, particularly as we are happy to say that the Thread has been nominated as a prominent part of the SPLOST renewal, which will be presented to the community very shortly, and for which we ask your support in November. And finally, in addition to what Jim and Spear have said, my special thanks to not only the board, but to all of the friends. We have over 300 folks now on our list. To Jim and Patrick, my initial contacts were acting exactly as Jim said, even though perhaps with suspicion about whether this kind of thing could ever fly, a real invitation to see if you could make it happen and to support by offering the services and the participation of all the city and county staff. The first significant person I talked to was Tom Hall. And when I knew Tom, but not that well, and when I sat down with Tom for the first time, his exact words were, when I explained what had happened with Jim and Patrick and what my intentions were, his exact quote was, "Where have you been?" He had already developed several different scenarios and plans for how this sort of project could be played out in the community, and was only waiting for a group like ours to emerge. So thank you, Tom, and thank you to Meg for picking up his immense shoes and trying to put them on. And most of all from the city, thanks to Lee Threadgill. Raise your hand, Lee. Lee has been truly an invaluable partner to us at every stage and every turn, and we could not have done this without you, Lee. Yeah. And to the rest of the city staff, too numerous to mention, who have contributed from time to time, to Todd, to your staff that you volunteered and got involved, to everyone who served on this PATH steering committee when we actually created the master plan. And I know some of you are here. Thank you very much. So that concludes my remarks. Delighted to be here with you. And I will turn it over to County Commission Chairman Patrick Cruz.
Let me say that was the most expensive breakfast I've probably ever been to, Bob. And I'm sure Jim told the story. You know, Bob invited us to breakfast to tell us about this great idea. And, you know, here we are standing today and looks like on the verge of making this all happen across this county and the city. So we're real excited about being a part. Let me tell you about my last 30 minutes. If you haven't been out Vernon Road this afternoon, they're paving. And so as I started into town to come to this event, traffic was backed up, and I got very frustrated. But as I sat there and thought about it, what a great reason to have a bike trail. Man, if I could have jumped on a bike trail, I'd been here 3 times as fast. But also, let me tell you, 10 minutes before that, I talked to a gentleman, Steve Logan, with our Corps of Engineers. And I told Steve, I got to leave in about 5 minutes to go down to the ceremony for the thread. And he said, man, I've been reading about that. I'm excited about it. He said, I've got to get up to Carrollton and ride that trail. So there was another one of our citizens that's excited about it. As I got down here, finally made it to the college, and I was pushing it to get here, and I got to the corner up there at the college, and there was a grandfather and 3 of his grandchildren fixed across the road. So rather than be able to turn on Springdale, I had to come on down further. That was Woody Woodward, one of our local citizens. So there was a grandfather out on a beautiful day taking his kids on a bike ride. So as I just drove down here in just that little bit of time, you know, you could see all the reasons why our community needs something like this. So on behalf of the county and all of our employees and to the city and all their help, we are very excited about making this event, this venue possible. As Bob said, it is very important that when the SPLOST comes around, the renewal vote on it, that we need your support. It's because of your support in the SPLOST that we're able to do and offer a lot of great programs and venues to our county. So thank you very much. Now, Paige, you're doing the groundbreaking.
I'm going to direct you to do the groundbreaking. Thank you, Patrick. And again, the Chamber is so delighted to be here. And thank you so much to Bob and Natalie and the Friends of the Thread for joining the Chamber and being a part of our organization. And we also want to thank the construction firm, Llewellyn Construction, who was able to prepare this great site for us today. And on one personal note, I see many of my Gordon Street neighbors. We're very excited that the inaugural mile is right around the corner from our homes. So thank you from a personal standpoint. If we could please get the speakers to come up, as well as Natalie, of course, as our executive director, and those Friends of the Thread board members, if you could gather behind the shovels first. And then everybody else. We want everyone in the photograph. So please gather behind the board. Also, Councilman Mitchell, we want to make sure you're up here with the shovels, please, sir. All right, don't be shy. Come on, everybody. Go to the other side of the cameras just for a few minutes so we can get everybody in the photograph. Make sure you get in there, Mark. Just right now, we're going to get you to pose first, and you can step in just 1 second. I just don't want you to get uncomfortable there, Bob. All right. So make sure you can see the cameras out in the field. So if you have a shovel, if you will, place your foot behind the shovel and just pose with the shovel and look toward the cameras. For just a few minutes, everybody that's behind, look forward to the cameras. Everyone look this direction toward Alicia and Jeremy and Mr. Perry. In the chamber, we like to count to 3 before we do something, including turning dirt. And today, I think we'll count to 3 and say the thread and ask all of you with a shovel to turn the ceremonial dirt. So mark the groundbreaking of the thread. Okay, are everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, the thread. Thank you all for being here, and again, thank you to Luella Construction, and also please make sure to thank Judy Freeman for all of her logistics and all of her support today. Thank you, Judy.